Hello everybody, welcome. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We are here, and it's basically the border of Minneapolis and St. Paul on University Avenue in front of the Court International building where there's an Ethiopian consulate. This Ethiopian consulate is being protested right now outside by a Oromo protest. So this is part of protests that have been happening for many years but have been reinvigorated after the killing of a famous singer, Hachalu Hundessa, and that assassination happened about 2 months ago. Since that assassination of the singer, there's been numerous protests in Ethiopia by the Oromo people, who are the majority ethnic group in Ethiopia, but also who are very oppressed. And so for many centuries and many long times of years, the Oromo community has been pushing for some freedom and for their own land. And this is the Oromo flag. We're going to talk to a few people up here. Right now this is called a sit-in outside of the outside of the Ethiopian consulate. And the sit-in is not inside because the Ethiopian consulate is now closed right now. But we're going to speak to a few of the organizers and a few of the people who are out here, youth, as well as some other folks who are out here, and the reasons why we're going to talk to them about, and we're going to talk to them about some of the history of the Oromo people and Ethiopia. You see right here is a picture, and you see rest in power. There's a few names, there's one name, excuse me, and there's a few, there's an English translation and another quote. So hey.
Okay. Do you want to?
We can do it right here.
Okay.
We got the backdrop of people with flags.
Okay.
So yeah, talk about what this means to you right now. What are we doing here?
So we're here specifically because on July 29th of this year, or sorry, June 29th, my bad. Hachalu Hundessa was assassinated, and he is like a big artist in the Oromo community and also an activist. Like pretty much his music was like a voice for like the struggle in Ethiopia. So after like he got assassinated, like a lot of protests broke out in the country itself, and the government responded by blocking out the internet completely. And yeah, so pretty much nobody here could know what was happening back home. So
we're out here like exercising our right to speech, and we're using our voice for those back home, back in Oromia, who are unable to speak out against the violation of human rights that's happening there, and that's been happening for a long time, and over there is no freedom of press. There's supposed to be. It's written in the Constitution, but it's not a practice. The press over there is suppressed. People can't use their voice freely and say, hey, this is wrong, I don't like this, stop doing this. And this is quite literally coming from the federal government of Ethiopia, that's suppressing people, that's not upholding human rights, and that's allowing violation of human rights to go on. And also the government is a perpetuator of violating human rights in Ethiopia. So we're here, using our voice for that reason and saying, hey, life is sacred. Respect our life and respect our brothers' lives. And this is not just something that's happened in Oromia. This is something that's happened all over the world. Here in the U.S., Black Lives Matter. Our black brethren's lives are being taken by the police, without any retribution, and we have to go through this drawn out process of trying to get some justice and trying to just say with our voice, life is sacred. Life matters. Black life matters. And this is not a political thing. This is a human issue. This is a humanity issue, and it's the fact that we have to continuously say this, and we'll continuously say it until it's like drilled in. The fact that we have to continuously say this and it's not being heard, it's kind of it's sad. But we're going to continue to be out here. We're going to continue to say Black Lives Matter. We're going to continue to fight for other people's lives. Yep.
And we're here specifically because this is the location of the Ethiopian embassy. And after the unrest, they completely closed down their office. They're not taking calls or emails or anything. I think last time I called, they like stopped updating their website from like the Tuesday after Hachalu was killed. So like in that case, like literally we were blacked out from the media, so we didn't know what was happening on the ground. We can't talk to the people whose job it is to let us know what's happening with like our people, because literally like yes, it is Oromo people, but there are multiple US citizens that are being detained right now illegally by the Ethiopian government, and we haven't heard anything from any officials about their like well-being or what is going to be done about it, and it's been more than a month now.
And speaking of press, those are press that with the Americans.
They're journalists, all of them.
All of them, they're journalists.
And they're not even political journalists. Most of them, they're like comedy, like, yeah.
And the fact that the Ethiopian embassy right here is closed makes us feel like they're complicit with the Ethiopian government and the way that they operate. Now, you're in the U.S. right here, right now. We know there's issues here, but when you're here, you better have your doors open to the public and let us know what's going on.
Like this is literally what they're for, is times like this. So it's just weird that they're not speaking.
There's a huge Oromo and Ethiopian population here.
Yeah.
And so for them to close their doors and not have any avenue for, how do you even speak to people if you can't get on the internet and the internet shut down?
That they've been, okay, I can't say this specific establishment has been organizing it, but the Ethiopian community of Minnesota has been organizing counter protests to like silence the Oromo protests. So not only are they not addressing us or like showing condolences, they're silencing us, like criminalizing us, making us seem like we're just angry, but we're mad. We are angry because we're being killed and nobody's listening to us.
The way that we're able to communicate with like family back home is through landlines. So the internet is shut down. We can't communicate through the internet. We can't communicate through the embassy. But landlines in certain places are open, and like every other week, we're able to communicate with family there, see how things are going, how they're doing. My family was shut indoors for weeks on end because of what was going outside. If you step out the door, you're literally risking your life. It's a life or death issue just to go get some milk or some groceries for your family out there.
Specifically targeting people like us, like Oromo youth. So yeah, they're specifically targeting the youth because they see that like we have power, especially there, and like Cairo is the word for like our youth generation of like the freedom fighters, and they're the reason why the current president or prime minister is prime minister, because there were protests in 2018 that overthrew the government at the time, and they replaced him with Abiy. So like that's why now they're trying to suppress us so much, because they know like our power and what we can do. And so like since the youth back home can't leave their houses, like I feel like as diaspora we should like use our privilege to speak out for them.
And we're talking out to the audience here, right? We're not talking to the US government, we're not talking to corporations, we're not demanding from them, we're not commanding from them. We're talking to the audience, to people out there. You see that life is being taken away. You see our black brethren here in the U.S. are suffering and have been suffering for years, decades, centuries, And this is happening all over the world. Indigenous peoples all over the world, all over the globe, black and brown, their life is in danger. They can't even pursue happiness or pursue life, So we're out here as a people against the system, the conglomerate system. We're not out here just as Oromos. We know our identity as Oromos. And we're American, we're here too. We also know ourselves as black, But we're out here standing up for life. And we're talking to you. I'm talking to you. I don't know what you're doing, but let me tell you something. You don't even know me. You don't know my sister here, But if you can't sympathize with what we're doing, if you cannot see that our life matters and what we're doing matters, then that reflects upon you and you don't feel that your life matters as much too. If you stand up for me, knowing me as a stranger, if you stand up for my life, knowing me as a stranger, you stand up for your life too. And I don't know you, but goddamn, I'll stand up for you and I'll fight for you and your life too. Because I know life is sacred. That's a birth-given right You know, God-given right. It's a birthright that our life is sacred and is respected. You know, it's not a legal issue. You know what I'm saying? So if I get killed by the police, whatchamacallit, it's not a political issue. That's the police, the system taking away a human life. You know, that person should be put in jail right away, and retribution should be enacted right the hell away. You know, I should keep my words clean. But yeah, be in solidarity with us. Be in solidarity with Black Lives Matter, and Black lives do matter. You know, and we're gonna be out here. We're gonna be out here. All Black Lives Matter, and we're gonna be out here saying Black Lives Matter. All Black Lives Matter until we get our justice. No justice, no peace. And we know peace. We know what peace looks like. We know what justice looks like. And right now, justice is locked behind doors. Justice is behind bars. Justice is black. Justice is a woman. You know, justice is trans. You know, justice is Muslim. You know, so we need justice for those who are locked behind doors, behind bars unjustly. And we know what peace is. You know, our government is not going to tell us what peace is. We know how that looks like. We are a peaceful people. We come up from a peaceful background and a peaceful ancestry. We know how that looks like. And right now, the systems we're under, they're not giving us peace. And we can't go to the people that are the ones who are oppressing us. We can't go to our oppressor and tell them, hey, we need peace. We need justice. Give us peace. Give us justice. We're coming here and we're commanding and we're saying, hey, we know what peace is. We know what justice is. What you're putting on the table doesn't look like peace, doesn't look like justice. And we're going to command it. We're going to tell you this is what it looks like. Give us this and we want this. Not even give us. We want this and we're going to take it. That's it. Yeah.
So I know that this issue for a lot of people that are not directly connected to somebody in the Oromo community is not really a widespread issue. So one of the biggest reasons why we're here is just to spread awareness in the city to other people, because I know that if anybody looks at this situation, you know the difference between right and wrong, and killing and oppression is wrong. So everybody knows that. So as long as the word is spread out there, so thank you for coming and spreading our message. And yeah, just I feel like as us, the most we can do is just talk and spread the information, because once we do that, then people will care and the numbers will be bigger, and then we can ask for more, because we can't really ask our oppressors for anything. But if all of us as people got together, then the oppressors don't really have power to oppress us.
So we have youth from the diaspora that came. That have you been to Ethiopia yourselves? Just real quick, and then also, what does it mean for you to have so much youth in Oromo, or in Ethiopia as people call it too, out there and pushing for a new freedom? Can you just describe some of the past? We noticed this recent past that your parents might have been super oppressed, and now it's the youth that are out there and they're facing death, and there's thousands locked up. Can you just sort of wrap that into some synopsis?
Yeah. I've been back to Ethiopia. I've been back twice. I've been back 2012 and 2014, and in both instances, it was a very new experience for me. It was an experience in which I've realized that I am also American. You know, I've identified myself and brought all my identities together. As a youth, protesting and standing up for my freedom in this time, and what that looks like, what that means, and why they're doing that back in Oromia, and why we're doing here, because we don't want to live the way our parents had lived. You know, it's really a choice. We can decide to stand up and stand for our freedom, stand for our liberties, and say, hey, these are supposed to be basic human rights, and we want this now. You know, we can say that, or we can just sit and just say, you know what, this is the way it is, and just sit. And now for the next 60, 70 years, I live just like my dad. You know, feeling powerless and feeling victimized, feeling used, and just feeling like I'm in a box, in a cage, and I can't really live freely like other people are, certain other people are. You know what I mean? So the reason why I'm standing up, the reason why my Oromo brethren, sisters and brothers back home are standing up, risking their life, is because we'd rather die standing on our feet than die on our knees. I'd rather die standing up against this system rather than be shot wearing a fucking hoodie. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Is that serious?
Yeah, it is. I've only been to Ethiopia once. Like most of us here, if not the people themselves, our parents came as refugees. So it's like only once removed. But my dad never went back again until this year, literally. We went in 2020. And he actually was there during when this all happened at first. So that was really scary to like try and like get a contact with him. I like for the first time in my life, I knew like what it felt like to like feel like what's going on back home directly, you know? Like I always knew and it always hurt me, but like when somebody that close to me was in it like kind of changed my perspective. And actually after going and meeting my cousin and seeing the youth and seeing like how peaceful and happy Oromo people are, it's like even Hachalu's music is like, it wasn't violent, so it doesn't make sense why we're being met with violence. But yeah, did I answer your question?
Yeah, no, it's you did, because you went back and also just like the youth there now are getting locked up by the thousands, it sounds like.
5,000 youth are locked up. Check out Amnesty International confirmed.
And
over
the youngest-
5,000 youth are locked up.
I'm pretty sure the youngest is like younger than 10, for sure.
And over 500 people have been killed.
Yeah, talk about that too. What is the deaths about? So it's in Oromia region, from my understanding, a big portion of the deaths. Are they just the government is just like killing people during protests, or what's?
It's the protesters being killed. There's also like rioting and stuff happening, but we don't really know because there's not media.
Yeah, it's a correlation, and I'm not gonna call it a riot. It's an uprising.
Yeah.
You know, if you don't see that life is more sacred than property, then the youth are gonna show you, we'll burn this building down, and hey, you got insurance, you can build it back up, but you can't bring a life back. You know what I mean? So there's correlations with what happened with the killing of George Floyd and the killing of Hachalu Hundessa. Hachalu Hundessa was quite literally killed because he was speaking against the oppressions that's been done to the Oromo ethnic group for decades, you know. And then a week later, that was on national TV in Ethiopia, in which he spoke against what was been going on and what's going on with the Oromos, their basic human rights being violated. And then a week later, he was gunned down. Right? Same thing that happened here. And even with the uprisings here, in which there's white supremacists were involved, the military was involved, the police, the city was involved. Just like there, the federal government there is involved. They're taking part in that, you know?
Sorry to cut you off, but there's lockdowns like how we had here. You just can't leave your house, and if you do, you can get arrested and killed.
And that's why my family's been indoors for weeks on end. You know, how are these people gonna eat? You know, and we're here sending money back home just so our families can eat.
And in the middle of a pandemic.
In the middle of a pandemic, yeah. And we're out here in the middle of a pandemic. You know, like, would you rather die of COVID-19 or, you know, the police shooting you down? You know, it's really a sad time to be right now, but at the same time,
It's powerful.
it's a powerful time to be out here too, because you get to show up. You're being called to show up, get up and show yourself, show your truth, and speak for what you really believe in and what your values are. You know, otherwise, if you don't do that, your values get stomped upon. You know, and then you get to decide to keep what is left for you instead of taking what you want, deciding what you want. You know, so we're out here, and we're out here every day, every week. Like I work. You know, I have other things that I do in my life. It's not like I'm out here protesting every day, you know, but I am doing that every day too, because, you know, that's important to me. You know, my work feeds me, right? I get fed, but then at the end of the day, I'm thinking about my future. You know, 50, 60 years from now, how do I want to live? I get to make that decision right now. And I get to make that decision for my future children and the future children of the people that look like me. You know what I mean? Because I know how I grew up, and I would never want a young black girl or a young black boy to grow up the way I grew up and to grow up in the system and the world that I grew up in. I wouldn't want to bring kids that look like me into this world the way it is. You know, so I'm doing what I can to try to make this world a better place, so that hopefully and definitely, like, these kids that look like me will grow up in a better world. You know, and we have that power to actually make that happen, because at the end of the day, we give our powers to the system. All of us individually decide to agree upon these laws and these procedures, processes, and the way we govern ourselves, and we're human at the end of the day. We can decide to come out of our uniforms and decide, hey, let's treat each other like human. We don't want to treat each other like animals anymore. We don't want to separate each other anymore. You know what? Let's treat each other like human. Let's be kind to each other. There's more than enough abundance. There's more than enough resources. Let's share. Let's redistribute wealth. You know, let's make each other feel good, and let's create a better world. And we can do that. All we got to do is decide to take our power back. First, we got to realize that we do have powers as individuals, and then bring that power together as communities and support each other as communities. Even though we look different, you can be Asian, you can be black, you can be white. At the end of the day, you're a human being. You know what I mean? And you really do want the same things as I do. You can be a Republican and I can be a Democrat. You know, your values are the same as mine. You family, have a job, a house, live a good life, you know? Like, I want those things too. You know, if you want that for yourself, I want that for myself too. And we can come to a common ground on that. We can be different in our belief systems. You can be a Christian, I can be Muslim. But it doesn't mean we have to lose respect for each other and our humanity for each other. At the end of the day, that base level of respect of treating me like a human being is mine, and it should never be taken away by anybody and by anything, by any entity. And once it's taken away, then like whose life is respectable? You put us in a hierarchy of which life matters the least. Black lives matter least to white life matters most. You know what I mean? Let's break down that imaginary hierarchy. All human lives matter equally and the same. You know what I mean? We might not look the same, but we're all human. And we all matter. And right now, Black Lives Matter, and all the attention should be on Black Lives Mattering. You know, because Black life is what's being taken away, and there's no cameras on it. I love that you are here, brother, and that Unicorn Riot is here because you're for the people. And I want you here because I want the people to hear us. I don't want the corporations to hear us. I could care less about the mainstream media because they're all about ratings and about the money. But this is about humanity, and you're out here for the humanity too. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you, man.
Yeah.
Real quick, can I ask you another question?
Yeah.
Thank you for all that too, and thanks for the love. Protests. You brought up protests. There's been many protests in the local area since Hundesa's assassination. Can you just skim through what's happened here since then?
You mean with the protests?
Yeah. Like there's been people have taken over the highway, and then there's also the counter protests as she brought up. But just like just a synopsis of the protest activity, and then also maybe what's happening tomorrow.
Okay, so because of the protests that we've been a part of, like shutting down the highways, the reason why we're doing these things is because we want to be heard. So we're using our voice, right? And we want to be heard. And like if you're going on your day, you know, business as usual, we're not saying we want to be heard by the government. We're saying we want to be heard by the people. You know, we'll shut down the highway and disrupt business as usual and disrupt capitalism because we want to be heard. And that's what we've done, and that's what we'll continue to do. So basically the synopsis of this is that we're being more strategic on what we're doing. We want to be impactful in the way we use our voice. And plus we've learned that, hey, our voice is powerful. We do have power as a community. As an Oromo community, we're a strong voting bloc. It's election year. They want to come and grab our votes. In the past years, they just come, they tell us, hey, we do this and this and this for you, give us promises, these candidates, GFL, you know what I mean? And then once we give them our votes and they win, they never come back into our communities. No more, we don't want that anymore. You want to come to us and tell us what you can do for us? Matter of fact, be quiet, sit down, listen to us. Tell you what we want, you know, because we vote as a bloc now. You know, we inform our communities which candidates will represent us the best, and we'll tell our communities, hey, vote for these candidates. You know what I'm saying? Ilhan Omar being one of them. You know, I'll plug her. You know what I mean? And so like we're being strategic in this way because we know how the system can be affected. We're not just out here yelling at the top of our lungs and hoping something will change, because it doesn't necessarily just happen like that. We know that you gotta go through processes and procedures, the political aspect of it, and we're organizers. We know how to affect things that way too. So now, today we're out here doing a sitting at the Ethiopian embassy. They're closed. You know, you don't see anybody coming out. You know, that person's definitely not Ethiopian. There's other agencies here. But like, we're protesting the fact that they're closed and that they don't have their ears out to hear us. And tomorrow we have a women's march. We have our whole community a part of this. We have our elders a part of this. We're the Oromo youth, and they're allowing us to lead this. And they're backing us up. They're behind us. They're by our sides because they see that we're really fighting for true freedom. They know that too because they went through the same process, and they felt defeated, and they just felt that they had to accept what was there. And now they see us getting up, and they're like, whoa, some life again. You know, and the life is with the youth. The youth is the heart of humanity, quite literally. If you go to Ethiopia, Oromia is in the middle of Ethiopia. Oromia is where all the rich resources are. Oromia is the heart of Ethiopia. The Oromo youth is the heart of Ethiopia. You know what I mean? And so our grandmothers and our mothers are behind us too. And tomorrow we're doing a protest from Oromo Community Center of Minnesota here in St. Paul to the governor's mansion. That's the women's march. It doesn't mean only women are involved. It's women specific, but our men are there too. In this weekend, starting tomorrow on the 7th, 8th, and 9th, we're doing a hunger strike at the Capitol. So us youth are going to be doing a hunger strike 3 days in solidarity with the Oromos back in Oromia who are doing a hunger strike. Like the political the U.S. citizens that got locked up are doing a hunger strike and have been on a hunger strike since they got locked up, you know, and they are journalists, a majority of them, you know, and so we want to be in solidarity with them and show them, hey, we're still here with you. And it's not like we went back to our usual days and forgot about you. We're still here with you until you get your justice, your freedom, and you're taken out of jail. You know, we're still here with you because we know that you got locked up unjustly.
Thank you for that wrap up. And so, yeah, is there anything else you'd want to say? I know I took you for a long time. I grabbed you for a long time. Anything else you'd want to say?
This is the time. This is the time. There is no other time. There's not another time in the future where hopefully we can have an opportunity to create a better world. This is the time. We're not fighting against something. We're not fighting against a old system. We are deciding to build something new for us. You know, we're deciding to build what we want to see in the world. We want to see more love in the world. We want to see more art in the world, more music in the world, you know what I mean? More food, more togetherness, inclusivity in the world, more respect in the world. And last but not least, 100% respect for life everywhere in the world. You know what I mean? Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. That's what that is right there, you know? And this is the opportunity to actually bring these things that we assumed were impossible. Peace on earth. Oh, that's impossible. That's not going to happen in my lifetime. No. I believe that can happen in my lifetime. You know what I mean? Peace for us, justice for us. I believe that can happen in our lifetime. Peace and justice for our Black American brethren. I believe that's going to happen in our lifetime, you know? So don't feel dejected. Don't feel like it's hopeless. Don't feel like you can't do nothing. What's the point anyways? Come stand with us. We're doing something already. You know what I mean? We're out here already and we believe in something. We have a vision. We have an imagination about this. Come out here, stand with us. If anything, believe that this is possible. Believe that we will win, because we will win. You know what I mean? And the reason we have so much heart about this is because we got spirit on our side. Anybody that wants to discount spirit about this is not religion. But anybody that wants to discount spirit about this, go ahead and discount it. But you know, we got strong power behind us. You know what I mean? Spiritual power, natural power. We got Mother Earth behind us. And we see Mother Earth as a living being. You know what I mean? We are so worried about climate change and all of this, but we still haven't decided to acknowledge the life and the soul of the earth. Just like we haven't decided to acknowledge the life of our Black brethren. You know what I'm saying? Acknowledge the life of the earth. And once you acknowledge the life of the earth, you will also acknowledge how we're all connected. We're all part of the same tree. So if, as a branch, if I hurt another branch, I'm only hurting myself. You know what I mean? Nobody is excluded. White brethren too. We're all humans and we're all connected in this way. So why hurt each other? You know, why be greedy with each other and try to amass wealth just for ourselves and our family? There's enough for everybody. You know what I mean? And it all starts with acknowledging the life that the earth is. You know, and the life that you are, and live actively. You know, this is a decision. There's a decision that you need to make, because every individual, every human being, every single person is being called to make a choice, and that's a choice for fear. meaning you choose to live the old life, the life where you're subjugated and the life where you're oppressed and you're told what to do and your liberties are taken away and there's nothing you can do about it. You either choose to live that life or you choose love. You know, the life of spreading and connecting with each other as human beings, the life of recognizing each other as human beings, the life of recognizing each other as worthy of life. You know what I mean? So you get to decide these two things. And you can decide right at your couch too. Even you're being called to ask that. I know your heart is hurting. Because even your body is fighting against you and your heart is fighting against your body and against your old behaviors and your old ways and your old conditionings, asking you, please, we must change. We have to change. This is a time. Otherwise, we're going to just suffocate ourselves to death. You know? So choose. You have to choose life. Choose life and choose it for yourself. Don't choose it for me. Choose it for yourself because we're connected. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Definitely. You too, man. You down to talk?
Yeah, you want to ask me questions?
Yeah, I can ask you questions.
Okay, all right.
All right, we'll do it with them in the background.
Okay.
You can sit down if you want. If you were sitting, that's fine.
Oh, no, it's cool.
Okay, cool.
I can sit.
So yeah, what does this mean to you right now? There's just, it's a small, like a dozen plus people, but it means something out here. People are fighting for something. What does this all mean to you?
So, I mean, we have a small group here, but, a revolution started like this. We're out here for the Oromo people. We are out here for humans in general. There's a lot of human rights violations going on in this world, not just Oromia, but we're here for Oromia. We're here for people in Kashmir. We're here for Palestine. We're here for Black Lives Matter. We're here for the Uyghur Muslims who are suffering at the hands of the Chinese government. We're here for all humans, but our people, Oromo people, they've been suffering for so long, and it's a government that's been hurting our people. It's a systematic oppression, Oromo's been going through so much, and I feel like this generation will end it, There's a lot of pressure, there's a lot of protests going on, and I feel like a change is going to happen soon. It starts, our forefathers went through it. My father, for example, that's why I'm so passionate. My father, for example, he doesn't have one leg. He's not able to walk because he's been shot. He got shot twice while he was in the battlefield. At that time, people were defending their lands, they were defending their rights, and they were able to carry, guns, rifles and stuff. And by that, he got caught up by the government officials, Ethiopian government officials, and he lost one leg. I mean, he's able to still walk, but he doesn't have any bones at all. That's why I'm out here. I'm out here for the people who have lost arms, who have lost legs, who have lost vision. I'm here for all that. And the human rights violation that is going on right now in Ethiopia must stop. And the thing is, in Ethiopia, it's not Oromo people. The Oromo nation is not the only ones that suffer, and I want to make that clear. The southern nations of Ethiopia, you have Gurage, you have Walaita, you have Sidama people who are Afar people who are suffering. So it's not just Oromos, and the world needs to know that. Oromos are suffering, southern nations are suffering, and I feel like everybody must stand against any oppressive government. And by that, if we stand together, we are able to overthrow the government. We are able to throw. And the thing is, the youth back home right now, the internet is restored. They're on live saying, we will die here. If we die here, we will be with Hachalu Hundessa. And that's where all this started from. Hachalu Hundessa, he was an artist, he was an icon, he was a human rights activist, and he was the voice of the voiceless. So they said, we will stand here at our protest. If you shoot us, you kill us, we will be with Hachalu. If you put us behind bars, we will be with Jawar Mohammed. And Jawar Mohammed, he used to live out here in Minnesota. He's a native. Now he's back in Ethiopia fighting for his people like that. He has, I believe, dual citizenship. I'm not quite sure, but he's right now behind bars for no reason at all. There are thousands, 10,000s of Oromo citizens right now who are behind bars for no reason at all. And the thing with the Ethiopian government, any crime they commit, they always try to point it at opposition political groups. There are many opposition political groups in Ethiopia, and every crime that's committed in Ethiopia by the government, they point it at other people. And that must stop too. But that's all I have to say. Thank you.
All right, thank you. That's a lot. Can I ask you a question real quick?
Yes.
So the internet's restored now?
The internet is restored, yeah. I believe some parts aren't, but the majority of it is. Because a lot of youth back home, they're posting videos, they're posting evidence of like what's been going on within those 3 weeks where the government has shut down the internet. So it's restored, but some parts aren't. Like, the village, where it's like hardly any internet access. It's not restored yet.
So how long was it out? Do you know?
It was 3 weeks. 3 weeks since last month on the 29th of June, yeah, 29th. So the whole July, basically, it was like out. There was like nothing.
And then there was like huge numbers of arrests and killings.
Yep.
Can you talk about like, was there more killings that were happening after the internet went out? Or was it like maybe just the same amount?
I feel like it was more killings after the internet went out because that's what they're trying to hide, But there's actually more people who ended up going to jail. I believe it's about 300 people. It may be more than that because they're not reporting it. So right now we're getting lists of people who've died so far at the hands of the government. For example, I come from southern Oromia in the Guji land, in the Guji region. So almost about 89 people have been detained and about 14 have been killed by the Ethiopian forces. So that's where I had, like, from where I come from, that's the accurate statistics of what's been going on. And everywhere else, it's up to 300 killings. 10,000 people have been detained. So it's crazy. It's crazy.
Have you been to Ethiopia?
No, actually, I've never been. I was born in Ethiopia, in Oromia. I was born there, but we ended up flooding to Kenya, and that's where I grew up. I came here when I was 5 years old. So it's like we're fighting the same fight our parents have been fighting.
So you were in a refugee camp in Kenya?
We weren't in a refugee camp. We were more of like, we were in Nairobi. We were just, on the street. We had our name on the list. We had a sponsor here in the United States who sponsored us to come to the U.S. because of the government wanted my father because he was against the government. And he's built a large group at that time. He built a large people and educated them about, where they come from, and that's why they wanted him, So they were looking for my father, and that's why he fled it. Yes.
So it means a lot to you. So,
yes.
So being from the diaspora and being here, what is your hope that happens in Oromia? Do you want like Oromia to have a land and the freedom? What is your hope that happens?
Okay, so I want Article 39 to happen in Ethiopia. Article 39 is where Oromia as a whole depart. They leave Ethiopia and become their own country. That is when Ethiopia will be peaceful. Like, if justice is not served in Oromia, there's not going to be peace in Ethiopia. And Oromos being the largest ethnic group in Ethiopia, they need us. Ethiopia needs us, But at the same time, we're suffering at their hands, If we were so needed, then what's up with all this suffering, So I would want Oromia to become their own country. Because we have a lot of educated people now. We have lawyers. We are able to build our own country. Yeah, we are.
And so, can you talk about what Hundesa's killing meant to your family, maybe?
We didn't believe it at first. It was a very sad, and up till now, we still can't process it. But he's with God right now, so it's like, what can we do? They say Kapsawan Nikufa, Kapsoni Tifufa means a warrior from the struggle. They may fail, like they may die, but the struggle continues, So it's like, we knew it was coming. Even Hachalu himself knew that was coming because he was a voice for the voiceless and they wanted him gone, So they took a part of our hearts out, but we will continue the struggle. We will continue this fight.
And then Ethiopian government said that they have some suspects rounded up from his assassination. What do you think about that?
I think it's all just lies. It's all just lies because it's like a drama they're playing right now, they just did that. And the thing is, they said that those suspects are Oromo. They come from OLF. It's an organization, which is like, they do that all the time, So when a crime is committed, they always blame other people and not themselves. They're the ones who killed Hachalu Hundesa, because not too long before his killing, he had went on national TV and talked about it. He was quiet for a while, but then he had a chance to talk, and he did, and he was criticizing the government, and that's why they killed him. He was speaking truth. Yeah.
Anything else you'd want to add?
No, I think I said everything I needed to be said. Thank you so much.
Thank you for sharing.
Yep.
Appreciate that. Thanks for sharing about your father too. Some of the history. So we haven't gotten into so much of the history, right? Like, we can talk about why is this happening right now, and what has been happening with Oromia, and why doesn't Oromia have their own land? Maybe some of that.
Okay, I mean, and at some point they did. All the ethnic groups and nationalities have their own regions. The Africans, that came in and developed African.
Can we talk about that?
Yeah,
All right.
okay, I'm gonna do my best.
Do you want to sit or stand? What's more comfortable for you? I'm gonna grab another interview real quick. Okay, cool. I haven't been having anybody introduce themselves, but you can if you want. But basically, I would like to talk to you about the history of Oromia. Can you just describe the region of Oromia and how right now the borders might not have been what the borders were, but just sort of bring us up to speed with the history.
Okay. Geez, I mean, the history is it's a really long history, and we could be here forever if we were talking about it. But the borders are not definitely the same way. There has been a lot of land grabbing. So Oromia, the region Oromia, is right in the heart of Ethiopia. I think it's like the second largest region in that country, and the land is. I mean, it is rich land. You have honey, you have potatoes, you have coffee, you have so many different resources that come out of Oromia, and they want those resources, but they don't want the people there. And so what you have is you have had in the last regimes a whole bunch of land grabbing, and in recent years you had what was called the master plan. So that was made in 2014, and the goal of that plan was to displace 2 million Oromo people, 2 million Oromo farmers, to take their land and to expand the Addis Ababa capital, which they claim is not Oromo land. But if you look on the map, you'll see that it is indeed in the Oromia region. And Addis Ababa was not the initial name. The name of Addis Ababa was Finfinne. And so all of those cities around Addis Ababa, they had Oromo names, and it was in my grandparents' times that they came and they began to rename those cities and then teach their children that they discovered this land, that it was not claimed, and that's why they called it Addis Ababa, which means new flower. That land was there before. There was many Oromo people that lived there, Oromo wealthy people that lived there, and it's now predominantly not Oromos there. And so you have, again, a whole bunch of land grabbing. And so they were going to make this plan in 2014 to expand the Addis Ababa capital by taking land from 2 million people without compensation. And so that's kind of where I think that was the beginning of this really, really big Oromo protest, and the beginning of we're willing to lay down our lives and we're willing to die than to live another day being subjugated and oppressed. And I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, that's good. Thank you. And then so we have a new president, sort of a new prime minister and supposedly he has family that was Oromo family, but that might be up for question.
Yes.
And he was maybe called to be the savior of the Oromo people in the early parts of his prime ministership.
Yep.
Yeah, can you talk about that in general? Just him, maybe like what he has done and maybe what he hasn't?
Okay. So Abiy Ahmed was not elected. He came into power because the recent prime minister died suddenly, Meles Zenawi, and there was another person, I think his name was Haile Mariam, I can't remember his last name, but he resigned because he couldn't take the pressure that was coming and he didn't have the strength to go forward oppressing. And so after he resigned, our people actually wanted Lamma Magarsa, which is the defense minister of Ethiopia. Abiy Ahmed removed him from the position because Lamma Magarsa is Oromo person. He's from Wolaga region, and he spoke openly for his people. He supported his people, and he wasn't ashamed to kind of check Abiy when Abiy was out of line. But prior to checking Abiy, our people mostly wanted Lama Magarsa because while he was in office, now before Abiy Ahmed, he had a different position. And so our people really saw that he was for the people. They wanted him. Lama Magarsa decided, I think Abiy Ahmed would do a better job becoming the prime minister, so he gave him that position. Abiy Ahmed, when he came on the scene, he used the rhetoric that his mother was an Amhara Christian, his father an Oromo Muslim. He comes from this diverse background. Therefore, he's able to bridge the gap that's been happening between these two ethnic groups. And after getting into office, I can't really speak much on his accomplishments, although he claims that he's furthered the cause of Oromo people. But I can tell you that in the Guji regions of Oromia, in the Wallagga regions of Oromia, they have burned people's homes. They have burned homes with people inside of them. With the they claim to be attacking people who might have connections to OLF, which is the Oromo Liberation Front, or WOBO, which stands for Warana Bilisuma Oromia, or it's Oromo people who have started their own army, kind of, and it started like 40, 50 years ago, a long time ago. And so in the name of cracking down on terrorists, they're burning homes of Oromo people. He has praised people who in the past are known for killing Oromo people, cutting off the breasts of Oromo women, cutting off the hands of Oromo men, doing a whole bunch of land grabbing. And then what we asked was, the Oromo people, their question was, or their statement, or what they wanted was very simple. We just want to live in peace on our land. That's all that we want. And we want to be recognized as Oromos. We want our identity to stop being criminalized. And so with that came also the question of having Oromo become a national language, because it is not. In Ethiopia, even though Oromo people make up the majority, about 40% of the population, their language is not recognized as a national language. As a matter of fact, during Haile Selassie's reign in the 1970s, you were not allowed to speak the language. You could be arrested for speaking that language. And so Abiy Ahmed, instead of making this progression and saying, okay, let's recognize the Oromo language as a federal language for that country, he actually he did the opposite thing. He said, let's make sure that kids start learning Amharic from like childhood. So you're not teaching our children their own language in their schools. My parents and my grandparents do not know how to read and write in Oromifa because they were never taught that. That's what we're asking. And so he's denied the people that. So I can't speak much on his progress, but definitely going back a whole bunch of steps. Yeah.
Within that denial, I think we were talking earlier a little bit about like forced assimilation.
Oh yeah.
And this seems like that's what's happening and occurring in Ethiopia.
I mean, this has happened in all of Ethiopia. So in order to be, when you claim to be Ethiopian, that means you're taking on the Abyssinian identity, their language, their religion, all that their culture encompasses. So when you bring anything that's Oromo into that space, you're automatically criminalized. So in order to identify as Ethiopian, it causes you to give up your identity or to vilify your identity as an Oromo person, and that's where the problem lies.
And so, have you been to Ethiopia?
I have. I've been once.
Okay. Do you have family still there?
Oh yeah, a whole bunch that I talk to every single day.
Okay. So, can you talk about maybe their perspective of the situation? Do you know some of their perspective?
So right now, my cousins are in like just absolute despair. And so I've been getting a lot of questions about what is life beef to? What is the point of living? You know, our parents, they experience this. Our grandparents, they experience this. We're living in this, and it's just like, what is the point of living? What is life to you beef to? Because I cannot see myself continuing to live in this country. And so I had a cousin who he wanted to join the there is this group, like I was telling you before, the OLF group, who are, I mean, their whole initiative, OLF stands, by the way, for Oromo Liberation Front. And so they have a sect that is a part of the army, this Oromo army. And so what they do is just defend the territory. And he was like, I want to join that. And I was like, no, that's extremely dangerous, by the way, because if they find out that you are in it, or that, I mean, these people, they're pretty, their whole initiative is to defend Oromia and the Oromo people. That's all that they want. But they've been labeled as terrorists. And so if you're in it, or you know anybody in, or you're in any way associated with it, that's automatic prison and potential death for you. And so I was like, you know, I don't think we need to go to that measure, but definitely a whole lot of despair, feeling hopeless. Like, this is 2014 to 2018, we had over 4,000. We had about 4,000 to 5,000 Oromo youth killed. So it's like, okay, this is just history repeating itself, and who's next? I can be sitting in my home and I'm hearing my neighbors that we have all these soldiers coming into my neighbor's home, taking them just because they're young. It's the assumption that you're a young Oromo person, then you're out there doing something and you're a troublemaker. And he's like, what if I'm next? What do I do? So it's very, very sad. Very sad.
So even you living here, you're sort of really almost anxious and scared.
Oh yeah. And so right now things are, I can have better communication with them because the internet was on, but immediately after the death of Hachalu Hundessa, the internet was shut off. And they were also recording the phone conversations, or sometimes the network wasn't working and you couldn't really make calls. And so I'm constantly worrying what is going on, because right now, specifically in the RC region, they have a whole bunch of soldiers. They're cracking down on the RC region and the Wallagga regions, claiming that these people are, they're rightfully protesting, but they're saying that they're disturbing the peace and etc. And so because my family is from the RC region, I am worried. I'm extremely worried. I worry about their safety, and I call them every day and I'm like, is everybody okay? Is everybody fine? Did you guys make it home safe from these protests? Yeah.
When it comes to the future, what do you hope? What's your hope? What's your family's hope for? Is it a free Oromia? Is in that land, and then Oromo people leading? What is your hope?
So ideally what I would love to see is Oromia become an independent nation, become its own country. Because for 150 years we have tried to live together, we have tried to ask for our rights to be respected and to be equal, right? And to serve equally, to be treated as equal, not less than. And whenever we have presented our case and whenever we protested, we've just been met with different names, ways to discredit the movement. And so at this point I'm like, what, if Ethiopia cannot accept us, then let the Oromo nation become its own people. They can have their own affairs and do their own things, but the Oromo people on their own land, let them become an independent nation. Let our people lead our people with the intention of helping our economy grow, helping our people move forward in a successful way. Yeah.
Thank you for that. Anything else you'd want to add? It seems like the situation is thousands of youth are arrested, hundreds are killed, worldwide protests from the Oromo diaspora, and that diaspora had to leave Oromia because of oppression. And so, any last words on just the complexity, but also like the simpleness of this all?
I would say if you ever hear this issue is to, because I know that there are a lot of counter protests that are going on. There are people ready to discredit our hurt and our pain. And I would say listen to the other perspective. Understand that the Oromo people, they're not going to have their histories written in the Ethiopian textbooks. They're not going to have their histories out. I mean, really just the raw truth of what has happened to Oromo people and the way that they've been criminalized and oppressed. You're not going to have that history written. A lot of it is orally passed down. A lot of it is personal experiences. And so when you go to do your research and you're like, I'm not seeing this in history books, well, duh, the oppressors are writing them. So I would encourage you to listen to the perspective of another Oromo person, and kind of just be very open-minded when you come to this issue. Yeah.
Thank you. Appreciate the time. That was great. Do another interview real quick. All right, so no, it's fine because we got the mic and we can hear you.
Yeah, because I know it might seem like we're contradicting the protest, but it's like we listen to what's the best for us, like what the artists tell us to do. It's good for us. So.
Yeah. So can you talk about this song and just some of the songs that have been played?
Okay, so it might look like we're partying out here, but the songs, like the artists that we're listening to are the people that keep us going like the most, like the artist Hachalu Hundessa. Now Yusuf Kamar, he's one of the legendary artists that we have, and sadly they in Ethiopia they kill like Hachalu Hundessa, our hero that every youth that everyone in the Oromo community looks up to, and like we listen to their song. That's what keeps us going when we are like down, when we feel down, no matter what. Even in the protests, like we don't know what to do. When we don't know what to do or how to protest, we listen to their song to like just feel that energy come back to us. Even though he's dead, like he's not dead to us. Like he's always in our heart, and we continue with his voice in our head. Yeah.
Do you have family in Ethiopia?
Yes, I have. Most of my family live there, and like my siblings, most of them live there. I left Ethiopia when I was like 6. It's been like 16 years now. I haven't returned, and unfortunately I was supposed to go back and visit my family this summer, but due to COVID and the situation in Ethiopia, which is not safe for anyone to go there right now, so I couldn't go back, but we're still hoping.
Do you fear for your family's safety right now?
Every day I do, honestly. It's really sad. Like there's days I went like months without speaking to my family because of the internet shutdown in Ethiopia that was done by the Ethiopian government and the Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed, and it's just sad, like to take away someone's basic human rights. Like we have been the youth and the people, the Oromo people in the diaspora in the United States and everywhere else, we try to make awareness of what's going on back home. Like the United States people and the citizens in America might like wonder like, why are you guys making so much noise? Because that's our family, that's my parents, that's my brothers and sisters dying back home. Like it shouldn't be so hard to run an election, like have a fair election, basic human rights. Like you would like if you went back to Ethiopia right now, you would be shocked because of like the amount of what's it called, like the amount of unfairness that happens, the basic human rights that we don't get in Ethiopia. Like, and I'm sorry, I don't know what I'm like saying, but I'm really frustrated. Like, I came to America when I was like 8 years old. I didn't know any English. I didn't know how to even say hi in English, and I had to learn all that. I came here to get my education so my people can get out of that struggle, so I can bring my family here and help them out. And like I forgot my own language because I was trying to learn somebody else's language to do better with it. And in that, like, I forgot about my own people's struggle because I was just struggling to learn about somebody else's culture and identity and stuff. And from that, like, I had to relearn again my people's struggle because of I see every day the unfair treatment that the Oromo people get in Ethiopia, and so like I relearned my language. And the history that's going on back home is just I had to really relearn that because I was like, I can't. You have to educate yourself before you educate other people. Like just like people are not gonna listen to you if you're not educated, if you don't have money. You have to work hard and everything. But yeah, it's just we are here and like we don't in America, like in Minnesota, we don't want to give up what we're doing because like no matter what happens, we just want the people in power to know like how like the unfair treatment going on back home. So we don't care. We are gonna sleep here. We're going on a hunger strike for days. We have went from all over the states in the United States to make awareness of the unfair treatment going on in Ethiopia. Like, please, I beg you guys, just go online and see. You will see so much. You will learn so much. Like, about, just search up Oromo protest and you will just educate yourself and share about what's going on. That's all I ask you guys, really, because when you teach yourself something, you're gonna realize that it's wrong. What the government of Ethiopia is doing to the Oromo people is not only Oromo people. There are many tribes of people that are being treated unfairly. So just please educate yourself on it and support us in any way you can, just by sharing, by standing with us. We write letters to constituents and the people in Higher Power Congress. We've done it. So just do that for us.
What is your family hope? What do you and your family hope from these protests or for the future?
We hope our hope is that the Oromo people get their freedom from the Ethiopian government and just to have like basic human rights, to have fair election, to be treated equally, basically, like that we the Keros or the Keros like back home. It literally means youth, like the power of youth, and they can't even go to school. They can't even, like right now, the government of Ethiopia is using schools to lock up Oromo youth. Like more than 7,000 youth are being locked up in schools. Instead of going to school, they are being the schools are being used for jail purpose. Our political leaders are in prison for no reason. They have no what's it called against them, because he knows that we are loud enough. We speak up for our voice. So he locked up our leader Jawar Mohammed. That's why we fight. Bakala Garba, Jawar Mohammed, we fight for them. Like we want fair election, basically. Yeah, he knows he will lose, so that's why he locked them up. And
He being Ahmed?
Abiy Ahmed, yes, yes.
Thank you for that. So there's a women's march tomorrow, led by women, but other people are involved as well. Can you talk about that? Unicorn Riot will also be there, hopefully. Can you talk about the march?
Yes. So I don't know if you guys have seen it on social media. We've been doing protests all around the country, and tomorrow we wanted to do like. Being a woman is very powerful thing in the Oromo tribe, and like the guys, if there's any problem, they come to the women. We have a meeting. We are the voice of the tribe, basically. So tomorrow, the ladies will be leading the protest and basically just letting our voices be heard. It's open to anyone. It's not just for the women, but the women will be leading the protest. And basically, I hope to see all of y'all there. We will be at the state. We will be at the governor's in front of the governor's house and marching to the Oromo community of Minnesota. Yeah.
Is that 10? And does it start at the Oromo community and then go to the residence, or does it start at the governor's residence and then go to?
It starts at the Oromo community of Minnesota, and we will be marching to the governor's mansion, and it's starting at 11 a.m. I believe. Yes, yes.
Thank you. Anything else you'd want to say?
I just want to say thank you to Unicorn Riot for coming out and supporting and standing with us. It really means a lot to us, really. Thank you, Nico. And just please support in any way y'all can. Just educate yourself and stand with us. Like Black Lives Matter. Like I was at the protest, and we literally have Black Lives signs everywhere. Our goal is just freedom for all the oppressed. oppressed people. Like, we are being oppressed, and I know there's a lot of like people that feel the same way. So please just stand with us, and thank you so much.
Thank you. Appreciate you. Thank you. Hey, whatever y'all want to talk. If you want to, we're live streaming right now. We're live, but you don't have to. Thank you all for joining. We're out here in Minneapolis, St. Paul area. See the Black Lives Matter sign, see the Oromo flag. We have some of the signs right here. Abiy Ahmed is a killer. Abiy must go. They said they found this image on the internet, and so they printed it out. Again, we've heard a lot about Oromo people, the Oromo protests, why people are out here. Here is the singer, Hachalu Hundessa, who was assassinated 2 months ago or so. The Ethiopian government said they have suspects and that they were from the Oromo Liberation Front, which people here are saying that is just sort of a front for the government to say, and that's not true. That Hundessa actually spoke against the government the week before he was killed, and that's basically why he was killed. So we're here. People are planning to be here for the foreseeable future, from my understanding. This is the international building. This building houses the Ethiopian Consulate inside of it, and inside of here on University Avenue, very main thoroughfare, the Ethiopian Consulate is closed. But there are about a dozen plus, about 20 people out here that are they were planning to do a sit-in inside the consulate, but now they're doing a sit-out, an occupation outside. Do not know how long they would plan to be here, but they have sleeping materials, so and cots, as you see, and like comfy type of things to lay on. So that is the situation down here. People are gathered for the Oromo people to be acknowledged, to be given freedom, to be given amenities that are not given to them as people. They are the largest group culturally in Ethiopia. I'm going to go across the street for a second, get you all this view. They are the largest cultural group in Ethiopia, and again, they are essentially looking for their own land. They're not able to be integrated into society, as for hundreds of years it's not the case. There's a lot of history with Ethiopia, a lot of history with Oromia, and a lot of history with the Oromo people and the Amhara people and the Abyssinian and a whole bunch of different ethnic groups that are in Ethiopia. There's over 80, from my understanding, 80 some. So check it out if you want to learn more on the internet. Do some research into Ethiopia, do some research into even the U.S. foreign policies that helped Ethiopia become destabilized and dictatorial, because that happened. I'm not sure too much. I'm just learning myself, but I'm hearing stuff about the U.S. foreign policy in Jimmy Carter era. Jelani Hussein from CARE, Minnesota, was dropping some jewels the other day about how, U.S. was playing Cold War in Ethiopia, but with no U.S. Soldiers, just against Russia and a few of Russia's partners. So again, this is what's happening here on University Avenue here in St. Paul. We're like a few blocks away from Minneapolis. St. Paul is the listed address for this Court International building, where the Ethiopian embassy is, where you have Oromo protesters carrying on the message of the Oromo protests. A huge Oromo protest happened about 3-4 years ago. That amounted to a lot of people being dead, a lot of people being killed, and a lot of people not only being killed but arrested. And so that is the case this time. They shut off the internet right after Hundessa's killing. Hundessa was assassinated. From my understanding, there was a lot of Oromo leaders that were instantly arrested. There was some mix-ups with the vigil stuff, and there was protests, and the protests got instantly clamped down on by the government, by the ruling government. Again, there's a lot of complexities to the situation if you do not know the situation, but once you get to know it, it boils down to sort of like the oppressor versus the oppressed. the oppressed versus the oppressor, however you'd want to do the verses. But there's definitely some sides, and people's ending up on the wrong end of the sides. And so this is part one of our coverage of the Oromo protest. We will be around tomorrow to also bring to you the Women's March that was talked about today. And you hear that there's a hunger strike that's going to happen out at the state capitol tomorrow night at 6 p.m. And so that'll be part of the calls here by the Oromo youth to get some freedom and to get a better life for their family and a better life for their future. Give me 1 second. I'm going to check some messages real quick. Was there anything else you'd want to say? I'm going to bring the stream down in a second.
No, just that we're going to be here like 72 hours, like for the whole weekend, or longer because it's Thursday. But so you can come by anytime, 24 hours of the day, and you're welcome. And yeah, that's it.
So it's a planned occupation now.
Yeah, yes, it is. And it's going to be a memorial for Hachalu and the other martyrs and prisoners.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sweet. Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much.
If people wanted to know more or like get involved in their local, how do they find out?
So there are a couple like organizations that they could follow, like local Oromo youth. One of them is Oromo Youth Association of Minnesota. You could just look that up and you'll find it on Google. Like they have all social media. There's also Kube MN. They are like more protest oriented.
How do you spell that?
Sorry, QUBEE and then MN, like Minnesota. And I think they have all social media as well. And if you just want like information on like history and stuff of the Oromo people, a good page to follow is Oromo Proverbs on Instagram, and they might have Twitter, but I know for sure they have Instagram with really nice like infographics and like live updates, like people from back home are messaging them and stuff. So yeah, they have updates on the prisoners, everything. So it's probably one of the best places to get information.
Say that one again.
Oromo Proverbs.
Proverbs. Okay.
Yeah.
And that's on Instagram.
Yep.
All right. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thank you.
Appreciate you. Yep. All right. You heard it. That's the information. They are starting an occupation here. This occupation will go on for the foreseeable 72 hours or 96 hours if they're going to go till Monday. Again, this is outside of the Ethiopian consulate. The consulate is inside. They have their doors shut. And they have not been responding or allowing the people who are to speak to them, which is a very troubling aspect of the folks here in the diaspora, of the Oromo diaspora, and other folks who are from Ethiopia that are not able to actually speak to Ethiopian representatives where normally they would be able to. And so that supposedly had just started after the assassination of Hundessa. So again, thank you all for tuning in. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. Chris running for the back end. Thank you so much. We're going to take the stream down. This is St. Paul, Minnesota. This is going to be going on for some days. And this is the Oromo community coming out, part of the hashtag Oromo protests, calling out, having a vigil for Hachalu and Dessa, and then also having basically a push, a protest, a demand for justice for the Oromo people, the freeing of the political prisoners, and some freedom and some liberation for the Oromo people, and possibly a free Oromia. So again, thank you for tuning in. This is Nico from Unicorn Riot. We're going to take a stream down. Continue to follow us. We will have more media coming out. We will try to be at the Women's March tomorrow morning at 11 a.m. That starts at the Oromo, Minnesota Community Center, I believe, something like that, is going to the governor's residence in St. Paul. Thank you all again. UnicornRiot.ninja is our website. We're on Twitter, UR_ninja. We're on Instagram, unicorn.riot. We're on Facebook, YouTube, and Vimeo. We are a nonprofit educational media organization dedicated to bringing context to social and environmental struggles. And without your support, we would not be able to do this. So thank you all for the support. Thank you all for viewing our media. And if you have the financial privilege and you like our media, feel free to support us. We definitely need monthly donors. We have a Patreon and other ways to donate. So thank you, and continue to follow us and continue to follow the sites that we're told, and we will continue to be out here. Again, thank you all. Peace, peace. Have a good one.